What's up? What's up?
Is it starting?
Yeah,
we good?
we're
I was
live.
bending over.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, you want to start us off, Christian?
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Yo, Check It. Today we got a special guest. Her name,
Graysin Aurora.
and she's here with me, Christian Aranas, and my boy, Jerick.
Yep.
So today, which is pretty cool, another female mind on our podcast, which is hella dope.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a female perspective in our podcast. Since
Gotta get a little feminine touch sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta... No comment.
Yeah, no complaints there.
And no complaints. Absolutely. So today's topic, what do you say, Jay?
5 love languages.
Interesting. Love me some love language.
Yeah. So when did you find out about this? Because I found out about the 5 love language about maybe 2 years ago.
I want to say about the same, honestly. Yeah, about 2-3 years ago, my husband and I were discussing our future and things like that. And one of my friends, one of my friends is also married, and she was like, honestly, you should read this book before you guys get married. So I did. I got the book and I read it, and I really enjoyed it. And then my husband's not a reader; he doesn't really read, so I had him listen to the audiobook. And he got about halfway through it because you men have hard attention spans to keep sometimes when it comes to something you don't want to do.
I mean...
Yeah, I guess it just depends.
No lie. Yeah, for sure.
If you don't want to do something, I feel like all men just kind of have this okay, I'll do it just to get you off my back.
So why did you make him read it?
Because I wanted him to have the same understanding as me. That way we could actually talk about it. Because I feel like if I read the book and he didn't, it'd just be a one-sided conversation, you know, because he doesn't know anything. So he read half of it, I want to say, maybe a little bit more. And then we actually got gifted the book on our wedding day.
Oh,
really?
By his parents. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
nice. That's a good gift, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It really is. I really think that all serious relationships should read it. You probably should read it before your wedding day, but you know.
So I mean, it's never too late, you know.
It's never too late.
Never too late. But
So would you say that by reading this book or having him, listen to this book, it's helped build the marriage a little bit better than,
Yeah, I would, because we had a little bit more understanding of where the other person was coming from in a way. Because him and I both have very different love languages, we found out. And sometimes there are, in long-term relationships, there are times where you might feel a little devalued or you're not getting enough attention or something like that. And we were at a point where I was feeling a little underappreciated.
So let me. Sorry for interrupting you, but what's your love language?
Mine is quality time. So I like doing things together and both of us finding enjoyment in something. So we both like to hike. So we do that a lot in the summer and we go on hikes together, and that's a quality time thing for us.
What's his?
His is words of affirmation. Ooh. And he has a second one. They were tied for they were 1 point apart, and I can't remember a second one, but
I think
that's the main one.
Yeah, because I'm words of affirmation too, and Christian as well. I wonder if that's
a male thing.
A man thing, because it's
maybe
people want to get hyped,
Oh yeah.
But for guys, it's just
I think also for me, it's just same as you. I want to spend some quality time. I mean, the words of affirmation, lately at least, words of affirmation is cool now, but I feel spending time is, a pretty cool thing. So it's hand in hand for me.
For me, the quality time is experiences. I feel experiences bond people together more so than anything else.
Yeah,
so
absolutely agree.
For me, experiencing something with my significant other brings me closer to them and makes me feel all sorts of gooey inside.
Yeah.
And and plus quality time, it breeds quality conversations, which also help stimulate the mind, and the mind is just as important as the heart. So
Dang.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Ooh, girl,
Yeah.
you got me thinking about some questions here now.
Because you wanted to read that because you were feeling undervalued or
yes and no. I didn't want it specifically because of that.
Yeah.
We were having the conversations at that point in our relationship about are we going to get married? Are we going to explore a future together, sort of thing? And at the same time, I was feeling like, I don't know, like, I do love you so much. Like, I feel like you're the love of my life. But at the same time, like, sometimes I feel underappreciated or undervalued. So we had to have that conversation and make changes. And that's when my friend was like, you should read this book. So I read it. And that helped us have the conversation of, okay, how do we move forward? How do we fix this? How do we strengthen our relationship and things like that? Because then he was able to understand what I needed to feel appreciated. Because he was like, I love you so much, and I think I do because he was showing me his love language at words of affirmation.
Oh, yeah.
So he was just telling me, oh, you're so pretty, oh, I love you so much, like, you're beautiful,
But,
I love having you in my life.
It felt like it wasn't really enough for you.
Yeah,
because
because
like, it wasn't
for
your love
me,
language.
mine's like quality time. So when he comes home from work and gets on his Xbox and games with his buddies for 10 hours, and I'm just sitting on the couch like, excuse me, I'm here.
Yeah.
That for me felt like I wasn't being appreciated. I wasn't getting quality time. So when he was able to understand, like, that's not how I love, he was able to understand because he was also feeling the same way. He was feeling underappreciated and just didn't say anything because I wanted to do quality time.
Yeah.
I wanted to spend time together, cook dinner with me, you know, let's clean the house and make it fun. Like, let's go on a hike.
Were you like affirming him and like?
Yeah, so I was trying to show him quality time.
Yeah,
and he was showing me words of affection or words of affirmation.
Yeah.
So we just weren't loving each other in the right languages.
Because like I'm doing the same way
Yeah.
too. Like I feel like I've learned a lot when I found out about that. I was like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is why my past relationship didn't work out.
Yeah, it really broadens your understanding that they're, and like everybody feels like, oh, I love this person, let me show them. And like some people like gifts. So like, oh, let me get you some flowers.
Yeah.
But if, like, say traditionally, the guy will get the woman flowers, he brings home a bouquet from the store, it's sudden, it's unexpected, and she's like, oh, thank you, and then just puts them aside. He might be like, excuse me, I just bought you flowers because this is a gift and I'm trying to show you how much I love you.
You know, a little bit more reaction than that.
She might not, like, gifts aren't a big thing to her.
Yeah.
She might like words of affirmation. So it would have been way better if he had come home just suddenly, you know, wrapped his arms around her and been like, baby, I love you so much, and like confessed his heart. She would have been like, oh, melting, and like, I love you so much. And so he's not getting the reaction he wanted because it's not her love language. So yeah, it really broadened our understanding of each other when we both read the book, and it was able to help fill some gaps in our relationship that just weren't communicated enough, and it was nice.
Yeah, because like the girl that I'm dating right now, like we had like a talk the other day.
The talk.
Because I was like, because I felt not necessarily like not loved, or it just like felt like uneasy, you know, because like for me, like she was doing everything she can to like show her love, because hers is gift giving and like I guess acts of service. So like she
acts
would like
of service is my husband's second one, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So words of affirmation,
Yeah.
acts of service. You saying that?
so
reminded
like
me.
she likes to cook stuff for me, so like she would like make me food and
Yeah.
do all that, and then like I talked to her about it. I'm like, because I asked her like, how come you never really like support the things that I'm doing? Like it's like she's not like a cheerleader, you know, like she doesn't like,
She's not
oh,
a
good luck
hype
with your
woman.
she's not a hype woman. So like I asked her like, how come you don't support me? But then she was like, well, isn't like me giving you the like all that food and like supporting you in a way? And then like I thought about it too. I was like, I mean, yeah, I mean it really is. I mean, like that's
I didn't
how
have to cook
Yeah,
dinner.
she
You gotta
that's
stay
how-
fed, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta get
That's
that
how she
energy in this
shows love.
podcast.
Yeah.
And then like I feel like I just gotta be like open to that. Like even though it's not really your love language, you just gotta like, oh, they still love you even though they're
it's
not.
a conscious acceptance.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would say, because like again, you're not feeling all lovey-dovey gooey and like, oh, that makes me feel loved.
Yeah.
But you understand that that's how they're showing you love.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that's how they might maneuver through your relationship. So like with my husband and I acts of service is my secondary, but it's a little lower.
Oh, okay.
So like for me, if I come home to a brand spanking new clean house, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, I didn't have to do laundry. I didn't have to do dishes. Like, it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes me feel loved, because I feel like he's thinking about how stressed I am, how much I have to do. And he's going to take care of the things that I might be stressing about because I haven't done laundry in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
FYI.
If you're listening.
No, I did it
laundry.
yesterday.
you know what's funny though, because like sometimes when I bring her stuff, like she's like gives me like words of affirmation, like she's more sweet to me when I do show her how she
Her
wants to be
love.
loved.
Yeah.
Basically, so when I bring her like little things like coffee or like snacks or whatever, like she'd be like, "Oh, I love you" and all that stuff. It's just like,
Yeah, it's the thought, honestly. Like, the thoughtfulness. Like, in a relationship, it's work, period. Like,
Yeah,
a long-term
exactly.
Yeah,
relationship
absolutely.
is a lot of work. It's a choice to be together after a while, because every, like, butterfly feeling dissolves. It can come back,
Yeah.
for sure. You can find that newlywed feeling again, or, like, new couple feeling. But it does take work, and it takes thoughtfulness, and it takes care, and lots of love. And if you're not willing to understand the person you're with, then why be with them at all?
yeah, exactly.
Chills.
Chills.
Usually I'm like all about this. I'm all about, but
I'm
I'm
really-
intently listening.
You're
because
just listening right now.
Yeah,
Chris?
I am,
Are you just
because-
an audience at the moment.
I'm with you guys. I'm listening in.
He's just like wrapped. He's just
I,
like,
you know, I'm just trying to
Mind
learn.
blown.
I'm just trying to make sure that when it's my turn, it's, you know,
Did it
I'm
blow
are
able
you
to-
single?
Yeah, kind of.
Are you dating?
Yeah.
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 But I'm what?
okay.
I'm
All
starting
right,
to
go
think
ahead.
like the things that I've learned before was just like, I don't know. Like I gotta relook at all that stuff. Like I try
Yeah.
not to. I mean, like I don't know. I've been out of this dating life for the longest time, and just like trying to get back into it. Or I mean, I wasn't even really planning on getting back into it, to be honest. But like it turned my life a little bit upside down, because like I guess I'm used to the things that I used to do. But those are the things, like, it's a new age, and those are the things that like I shouldn't be doing.
Well, and I mean, if you've had a lot of failed relationships in the past, I would say, and you took a break from dating,
Yeah.
it helps you, like, as a person. I feel like anytime somebody is single, period, like, doesn't matter the length of time, you grow as a person.
Yeah.
You learn from
Oh,
the
yeah.
relationship. You
Yeah, I was
take
single
things.
for like 3 years after my like
Yeah.
6-year relationship.
And
yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, especially our generation, where we're serial daters now, because everybody's so
Yeah.
accessible, like Tinder and Bumble and it just Instagram, like there's DMs everywhere, right?
And I think the big problem is too is like, let's say you get into a fight. I mean, you can easily just go to Tinder and like to make yourself feel better, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I feel like our generation, we are love seekers in general. Like, we want to love, but
we don't really know how.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't know how to love or give quality love, I
Yeah.
would say. And that's why you see all the memes of like, drop your boyfriend, it's hot girl summer. Like, you don't need to be you don't need to have a man. Or like the guy version, I don't know, it would be like no shave November. I don't know, like no nut November. Like
No
I don't
nut
need no
November.
girl.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. For me personally, I think I'm a little bit more old fashioned. Whereas, like, if I find somebody I like, then I kind of pursue, and I keep pursuing. And
Well, and my point that I was trying to make was we have become serial daters, but not quality daters. And it used to be like courtship used to be you try to look for marriage,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I know, and like times have changed. Not everybody wants to marry. Like I, for a long time, didn't know if I wanted to marry. I'm a child of divorce, multiple divorces. So I didn't know if I wanted to marry. And it was a discussion I had to have with my partner. Like, what did they want out of the relationship? How did they see their future? And you really have to find somebody who you match with and like is willing to put in the work and put in everything that you want out of that relationship, and then vice versa, you do the same for them. So it's you find a quality person and then you build with them, because every relationship is going to change over the years. It's going to evolve. Things are going to change, especially if you end up having children or
Yeah.
like in our case, I'm trying to build an empire over here. Like I have shit to do.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I tend to like I call it going dark in our relationship. It's essentially where like I tune out and I focus, and like I'll be focused for like weeks, and I'm just like work, and then I chill out for a couple weeks, and that's when I really like go back to the relationship and like find my home again and my husband. And but he understands that that's just kind of how I work.
Yeah.
And we've built this quality relationship to where we understand each other, and we have had open conversations with each other. The type of dating that people in my generation or our generation are doing is they're not actually opening up.
Yeah.
It's a surface level, superficial relationship.
I think, yeah, that's the problem, because people don't like to talk. They just kind of like, oh, let's just do all the lovey-dovey stuff. Let's just,
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the talking part is like because it's
I mean,
because
it's obviously it's really hard, but like
it's
I think
because
you gotta,
you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and I don't think anybody likes being vulnerable, especially because like if you okay, so you know you've been dating this person for a long while, or you've barely been dating this person for a long while, but you're showing a side of yourself that you've never shown him before. Like you showed him your fun side, your funny side,
Yep.
you showed him like sides of you that like people have already seen, but this is a side. That vulnerability is a side that nobody ever sees. Because you know what? I don't even think Jerick's seen that side. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, no, it's whatever. It's cool. It's whatever. I'm not going to talk about
we
it.
barely talk about like,
Maybe
that's just a dude thing.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's just like, but I think it's just like once in a while, like obviously we got a vent, so like we do that talk, but like for the most part,
but then it's like, cool, bro, like see ya, like see you next Tuesday, bye.
But like
Exactly.
between a man and a woman, when you express yourself, and I think it's like not just it's not just man or not just woman. It's also like, oh, okay, like this woman, she's expressing herself to me, and maybe she's scared. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I might be scared too, because like I've never done this before, or I've done it before, or I've forgotten how to do it, but like to be able to like fully open yourself to somebody is, I believe, one of the biggest like acts of love that you can possibly give to somebody, because you're allowing yourself to, okay, this is who I am, like deep down inside. Nobody ever sees this, and I'm allowing you to see at least a sliver of it. If you like it, then we can continue. If you don't like it, well, maybe let's talk about it and see.
We'll try again later.
Try again later. Yeah.
No, I agree. The vulnerability, and I think that comes back to quality relationships, is social media has changed everything to be so superficial. And so with our generation, we see the superficial love so much because people are so wrapped up in the funny, the expensive lifestyles, or
it's like, oh, this man can buy me a
like people like, oh, he bought me like 100,000 roses, or the funny relationship.
I
where
think you
it's
only
like,
see the good side in social media.
Yeah, definitely. And people like the internet in our generation, it's either you're like really funny, like memes, self-deprecation, like those things are really big in our generation. And we speak through that language to each other, especially online. And then when you get to a relationship, you can't talk in memes all the time. You can't can't just be a funny one-liner on the internet. You do have to be vulnerable. You do have to show your real self. And I think a lot of people nowadays just don't know how to like let their walls down with people. It's either they do it too much or they do it not enough.
Yeah, because I think I really did learn that in the past couple years. It's because like before, like every time like I see it, there's a problem, I kind of just like brush things off, like I don't like talk about it, and that's probably why my relationship didn't work out, is because just
communication.
Well, it's not just communication, it's comprehension as well. Because I can communicate to you all day. If we were in a relationship, I can talk to you and tell you all I'm feeling and like what I need from you. But if you don't comprehend it and you don't actually like absorb the information and like process it, nothing's gonna happen. That's how people stay in those cyclical relationships where like, the person who's feeling underappreciated will say what they need. The next step is the person's like, yeah, okay, and they get better. There's a time period of better, and then the person goes back to what they were doing, because that's just how they work. That's how they process. That's how they do their normal life. So it's like, unless they're actually like committed and comprehending how much it means to the other person of what they're saying, like how you said, you understand that somebody opening up to you is like a big thing. It's
Yeah.
like they might be scared. You comprehend the gravity of the conversation, whereas a lot of people they don't comprehend the gravity. They don't comprehend how deep that person might be feeling, and so they just go back to what they were doing, and then that's when relationships fall apart because people aren't working. They're not trying to fulfill the love.
Dang. See, I've only ever thought about it like, oh, communication. Well, I mean, communication is like a broad thing.
It's an umbrella, yeah.
Yeah. But like the comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think you make a really great
Do you
point.
remember when they used to do reading comprehension in elementary school?
Oh.
Yeah, bring that shit back.
Yeah. Actively think about the things that people talk to you about,
Right.
and then
Yeah, like whenever my husband and I have a conversation, we each have our own time to talk, essentially. So
Yeah.
I'll have my time and I'll say what I need to say. And then he'll have his time and he'll say what he needs to say. And then sometimes we can both kind of talk back and forth and we can have a current discussion.
Mhm.
But like sometimes, like you said, conversations are vulnerable. They're sometimes not pretty, you know? I've had conversations with my husband that are like, if you don't fix this, I'm leaving you, sort of thing. Like they're ugly, you know?
Ultimatums.
Oh yeah,
Ultimatums.
ultimatums, yeah, and like he's done the same thing for me. Like you need to get your shit together. Like he's as honest as with me as I am with him, and I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
I was hoping this wasn't gonna happen. What was I saying? Can we cut this?
Oh no! This is pure.
This
This is straightforward.
I sometimes do that where I just like I'm in the
It's
middle. I'm like
fine,
so
because-
focused on something,
No,
and then I just
You're fine. I do the same exact thing.
We have pauses in
Yeah.
here, so I was like, it
I'll-
is what it is.
I will get to a good point, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm so good. And then I start thinking about how good I am, and I'm like,
I
hold
wasn't
on,
even
wait.
thinking that. I was just like so like into the details.
No, you're
essentially.
good. I do have a shoot.
All right.
See, I just
Yeah,
did it.
you
I
just
just
did
did
it.
it.
Now
Oh,
I'm making
there we go.
everybody lose
Oh
their
man, now we're gonna have a really awkward pause.
Oh,
Now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's
Elevator
okay.
music.
But I guess coming back to it, what would you say was the? Oh, you got it. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what I was saying was sometimes if it's like a really heavy conversation, my husband and I will just say what we need to say and then leave the conversation for the night, and we
Yeah.
each ruminate about what the other said, and we each try and comprehend and like
Oh.
think about how what we've been doing, our actions, our verbal action or like confirmations to each other, things around the house, like love languages. We think about all the things that we know about each other, and then we reflect on what we've been
And
doing.
I think you have to understand too that people have different like ways of fixing conflict.
Mhm.
Some people like to fix it right away, which
Head on, yeah.
For me, like I like to fix things right away. Like
Mhm.
I want to talk about it now. Like I don't
Mhm.
want to like deal with it later. But some people just like, want to hold off and like cool off a little bit and then
Yeah.
deal with it.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then-
well, I mean, I don't
and
know if
think
that's me
like
anymore,
the,
but
that's the problem too, because like you have to have an understanding, like especially like let's say you get into a fight. For me, I want to fix it now, but
Yeah.
for her, like she needs time to like cool off, and then like she can think
Yes.
clearly,
Mhm.
So like, for me, I have to understand.
And it's
like-
not only that, it's sometimes even like you could reach an emotional threshold that you're
Yeah.
like, I can't deal with this right now.
Yeah, that's
and,
true.
And for me and him, when we have those really heavy conversations, sometimes it's like sometimes it's not pretty. We fight. We're human.
Yeah.
And if we're fighting, like I want to say like 2 or 3 months ago, we had a big fight, and I just like we had this huge fight, and I just left the house. I was like, I need to leave because I was so emotive and I was so like just overwhelmed with what we were talking about or fighting about that we were yelling at each other. We weren't listening.
Yeah.
I was really worked up, and I knew I was going to say some stuff that I didn't want to say,
Yeah.
or not necessarily things I didn't want to say, but I was going to say the things that I wanted to say in a
But
way,
like in a very like harsh way,
in an aggressive way, in a way that he wasn't going to listen to, obviously, because
Yeah.
we're both tuned out. We're
Yeah.
tuned into our own emotions. When emotions run too high, you can't have conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just talking at each other and you don't comprehend.
Yeah.
So I just walked out of the apartment, and I was gone for like an hour, and we came back and we both had calmed down, and we actually had a conversation and worked it out right there. But I feel like it depends. It really depends on the conversation that's being had, the feelings that are involved, and everybody involved has to be open to the other person's side.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to be open to your partner's expressions, then there's no point in being together.
Yeah, and I think I feel a lot better too after we talk and like figure things out. Like
Yeah.
it brings you closer together.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because like you kind of understand each other's side and like you kind of just try to, at least in your stuff, like try to fix it, in your, in your own
Yeah.
terms.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to go to bed mad at the other person, like that
Oh, I've
Neo
done
song,
that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I've done that a couple
I've been
times
the one
too.
that
'cause,
slept
like,
on the couch, be like, I can't be near you.
oh no. For me personally, I mean, I don't want to go to bed mad at that person. I mean, like, if you have mad love for that person, you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you guys are good. Like, I'm normally like,
for me too, because like I
Yeah.
don't want to go to bed like mad because like I can't.
yeah.
Because like I'm like obviously mad and like I'm
Oh,
sad.
I sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
no.
do you
Oh, no,
really?
I-
Because like after I get into a fight, like I have a hard time sleeping. To be honest,
I just have
yeah.
insomnia anyway, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm
I
up
think I have
until
insomnia
like
too.
I'm up until my body tells me I'm going to bed.
Oh, okay.
So once I'm going to bed, I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Night.
There's
Like good night. But no, yeah, no, I agree. You shouldn't go to bed angry.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple of times just because I'm like, nah. But other than that,
What was your
Yeah.
question, Christian?
Shoot, well, I mean, we were going on. I totally forgot about it.
yeah,
man.
you're welcome.
No, but that was good points there. Wow, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to in a relationship. Building a relationship is, like it's work
Mhm.
and it's teamwork. And if you're not supposed to be fighting each other, you're not supposed to be like. I mean, you're gonna have those moments.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody's perfect.
No
but
relationship
like you said
is.
earlier, relationships is a choice. I mean, if you like this person, then you're actively choosing, to be with this person, and you want this relationship to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, communication, comprehension, all that. Keep in mind if you're listening. These are important things to be able to make. I mean, like nothing's ever perfect, but to make something perfect like that between two people, that's powerful.
Yeah, and to bring it back to the 5 love languages, the comprehension piece is the biggest thing because again, it's a conscious effort to do what your partner needs you to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because you gotta love the way they want to be loved.
Yeah.
You know?
You need to be able to express in a way that they're going to understand.
Yeah.
And
vice versa too. You know.
yeah, exactly. So like if you're in a relationship and you're doing everything you can and you're comprehending and you're trying your best and you're just not getting the reciprocation, like for me in a relationship, as long as nothing else is bad, like no cheating is involved or anything, you just have some fundamental things wrong with the relationship that need to be worked on. I'll say like give it 2 talks, like 2 serious talks
Yeah.
to where like you sit your partner down and you're like, look, okay, XYZ, this is what I need from you. This is how I'm feeling. What about you? You have that in-depth back and forth. If you have that conversation and maybe some change happens and it doesn't stay, I would say have it again.
Because I think in a relationship, I feel like you're gonna have that conversation like pretty often.
Yeah.
Like, maybe like you talk very deep conversation, and then maybe a few months later you might have to have that talk again.
I say no more than once a year, to be honest, in my expectation. Because
You're the married one. I mean,
yeah, she's married, so
I with my husband and I, the beginning of our relationship was very like, oh, I love you, like, yay, we're so like in love.
We're so in love. Yeah,
The whole like newlywed type deal, like in the beginning of our relationship, and that lasted for about a year. But things change, people change, people evolve. Like I'm still fairly young, he's still fairly young. He's about to be 30, I'm about to be 24. So we're both evolving as people and like finding out new things about ourselves every day. And so if I have a conversation with him where I express a certain feeling, I expect him to work on that the
Yeah.
same way as he would expect me to work on that. If I see change, cool. If it reverts within a couple weeks and the change just kind of falls off, the activity of giving to your partner in a way, whether it be emotionally or like doing things around the house, whatever they need to, giving a piece of you to your partner, if that reverts, to me, that shows you don't care. Your attention span isn't there. I'm not one of your first thoughts. Whereas for me, everything that I do, I have my husband in mind. Like, people always say like, oh, I'm an independent woman that don't need no man. Like, that's fine and dandy. I'm an independent woman that don't need no man, but I love my husband and I want my man.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Because I think
want
there's
to
a
work
difference
to
between
make
like
it.
need and a
Yeah.
want. Too.
so you
Yeah.
you prioritize him a little.
Yeah,
you-
exactly.
I mean, obviously, you care about your own self and you go do your own thing, but
Yeah.
you keep him in mind with everything that you do.
Right. And like some people bag on me because like, they'll be like, oh, do you want to go out to the club tonight? Blah, blah, blah. And be like, hey, let me check with my husband. They're like, why do you need to ask for permission? I'm like, I don't. But if my husband needs to do something, or if he had plans and I didn't know about it, I want to be able to consider him.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
It's
At least, like,
it's a
consider, you
consideration
know,
thing.
like-
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in that mentality of the I'm an independent blank, don't need no blank, man or woman, or
Yeah.
non-binary friends, you kind of lose that sense of your partner is important.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing it back to the conversations, if my husband, if I have a conversation with him, I might see a good change for a couple weeks and then it falters off and it never occurs again. That means I'm not a priority. That means I'm not a consideration, and I need to be. I'm his wife, you know, things like
Yeah.
that. Or before we were even married, like I'm his girlfriend and he wants a future with me. He needs to work for it. So it's a give and take.
Yeah.
If I have to have the same conversation with my husband every month of
Yeah, that's
I
true,
don't
that's
feel
true.
loved,
Yeah.
there's an
that's
issue.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
if I have to have that conversation once a year where I'm like, you know, I feel a little underappreciated, that's because he might be busy,
Yeah,
things
'cause I
might
think
change.
things, especially like for me right now, like I'm on that like the hustle stage, you know, and like same with her too. Like she's, you know, she's going back to school, so like I think we're both in that stage where like yes, we want to prioritize each other, but at the same time, like we have other things going on.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we kind of get a little bit, you know, like
But that's an
Yeah.
understanding within your relationship
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you both have your independent lives.
Mhm.
My husband and I had the same thing. That's how
Yeah.
sometimes I go 2 weeks where like we talk. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
I like completely cut him off. We live together, like we have dinner together. But it might not be that I'm spending quality time with
Yeah,
him. I
yeah.
might not cook dinner with him. I might not go to the bar with him with his friends and like hang out. Like we might not do outings while I'm in focus mode.
Yeah.
But that's an understanding within our relationship that that's just how I work.
yeah, yeah.
And so when I do have that open mental capacity, he's right there, and I spend all my time with him, and I, you know, show him the love that he's
Yeah,
been
because
missing.
we did get into a fight because of that. Because
Yeah.
like she got like super busy and
Yeah.
like, you know, I was kind of like, hey, like, you know.
I mean,
feel-
that kind of works for our relationship because his love language isn't quality time. So I can
suppose- I
sit him
mean-
on the couch with his buddies on Xbox
Yeah.
for days. He
Yeah.
won't even notice. I like he's like, oh, you're still here.
You know what? It's like I used to be like that.
It's funny, me too. Yeah.
I got into
Yeah.
big fights because of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I threatened to throw his Xbox out the window.
Oh,
Like we
Ooh,
had
dang.
that. We had
Damn,
that
I mean-
conversation.
Well, it's
I'm
fine
like-
because it's just Xbox anyways.
Yeah,
well, we
but
have a
still.
PlayStation 2 that was gonna go,
Uh,
but
Ooh.
no, it was that, you know, you don't have any sort of balance.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you have to have
yeah.
a balance in everything.
Absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. So let me ask you this then. For someone who is kind of prioritizes that quality time aspect of the 5 love languages, how much quality time is quality time, and how where's the threshold where you feel like underappreciated?
Quality time is quality time. So like him and I could just be sitting on the couch watching a movie, but as long as it's him and I, phones down, none of his friends on his Xbox, like, you know, things
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Basically just on you.
We're
Yeah.
focused on each other and
Yeah.
on what we're doing. It could be, again, watching a movie together and just experiencing a movie together. It could be going on a hike together, which is like an all day thing sometimes. Like it could be as small as 15 minutes in bed before we get out of bed in the morning to start our day, that we're sitting there saying good morning, cuddling, things like that. That could be quality time. It's the quality of the quality time. It doesn't matter the length or the duration because
Yeah.
it's the thoughtfulness, it's the togetherness, it's the
I feel like it's just like the little things, you know. Like,
yeah,
you just
it's
gotta enjoy
little
it.
and
Yeah.
big, you know.
Yeah.
It can't be all little things
Yeah,
in
that's true. That's
in a
true.
relationship
Yeah.
in general. Like
Yeah.
in general, people are like, it's the little things. It's not always the little things. You do have to show grand gestures of love.
That's true. That's
Everybody loves to be hyped up.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
loves
yeah.
those grand gestures, and that's what really touches home for some people. And like it's not just because gift giving. It could be a grand gesture of, for me, quality time. If my husband spontaneously secretly planned out something, like a trip or something.
Oh, well, if you're
And-
listening right now.
Oh, he knows. He knows. He knows. This is like my ultimate fantasy. Is like I don't do anything. I don't plan anything because I'm a planner. If we leave to go anywhere, I plan everything.
Yeah.
Maybe not like every day of every minute, every day of what we're doing on that trip, but like how we're getting there, how we're getting home, where we're staying, how long it's going to take, like all that, all the little details of like getting there and getting back, I plan. So if I didn't have to plan anything, if he was just like, pack your bag, we're leaving, I'd be like, ah, my baby, my man. Like, and then we just spend like days together on a trip, doing experiences and having a great time, like just together, nobody else, no phones, things like that. That for me would be like the best, hands down, like over the top I love you that could be had. But for him,
But what if he does that when in your hustle mode?
I feel like it's all about reading your partner too.
Yeah.
Cause like I go through bouts where I'm like super hustle, and then I go through bouts where I'm just like chilling. Yeah. And so it's all about that balance. Like my husband has access to my work calendar, so he knows.
So he knows.
He knows what's going on in my activities. He knows how busy I am some days because I plan out my entire day down to like when I work out, when I shower, when I eat.
Dang.
Like
really schedule that.
I have so much stuff to do in a day that there's.
Well,
if I didn't plan to eat, I would never eat.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, that's crazy. Quick question then. As you were saying there, talking about your planning and all that stuff, I was just wondering, like, so then, in a relationship, is it important for both of you guys to have a hustle? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what if one of you guys is just constantly working that 9 to 5, and then the other person is just like, or you're the one that's like doing all this hustle that you were talking about earlier. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, that's the hustle, the 9 to 5. But I guess,
but
I don't know
the
what
9 to
you
5
mean
is
by
kind of like it's 9 to 5 could be anything from, editing videos, or like in my line of work, like just chilling and talking on the phone to people, helping them, do what they need to do with my company.
I feel like it has to be matched mentalities in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously in any relationship that you're in, you're looking for someone who's compatible with yourself.
Yeah.
So like I've been in a relationship where I'm super hustle and I want to get stuff done, and I dream big, big picture sort of thing.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
I've dated people who are just like, I just want to go to college and get a good job and do that for the rest of my life. And like to me that's boring.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit doing the same thing for the rest of my life. I want to explore and
I love that mentality.
Yeah, so like
same mentality.
I knew after a couple of weeks that it wasn't going to work out with this guy because we just didn't have matched mentalities. Now, I don't expect my partner to be super hustle and want to have a million things on their plate like I do.
Yeah.
I put too much on myself sometimes, and I need someone who's going to ground me a little bit. That's what I need. I'm so like all up in my head, like go, like thinking of a million things all at once. And my husband's very the opposite. He's very relaxed, chill, logical. Like I'm very emotive. He's emotive, like he has emotions, but he's just way more controlled. And so our matched mentalities is like a yin and yang for us, because he has a 9 to 5 job where he's getting he's doing really well and he's excelling and things like that. That's his hustle, doing his job. But then he is also supportive of my hustle, and he understands me, and he does want to build an empire with me. Whenever we can afford to have just my business, we're going to live off my business, and he's going to put forth into my business, and we're going to work together. So he has that empire mentality.
Yeah.
He's just doing what he needs to do in our relationship to get us there. We're a team. So he has the stable income. He works the 9 to 5 and does his thing, and he's supportive of me on the side, and does, like, he's come to shoots with Jerick before and hung out. He helps me out with editing and sound and video work and things. But my hustle, I just can't work a 9 to 5 job. I did the corporate life for a few years, and it's just not for me. It's not for me. It makes me feel constrained and suffocated, and I need to be able to just manage my own time. So he understands that. That's his mentality, is what works best for me is the best thing. So we have these matched mentalities, these matched goals, and we do our best to fulfill them. And that's, I feel like when you look for a partner, you need to look for someone who has the same type of deal as you.
Yeah.
You can't be someone who wants to own an empire with someone who just wants to live on a houseboat for the rest of their life. Like you can't do that, right?
That's true. I think you just gotta have like a match.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to find somebody.
like I feel like
who's
it doesn't
willing
necessarily have to
do
be
what
the
you wanna do.
same as what you're doing, but like I guess the same mentality.
Right, and that's why I say matched mentalities, because my husband doesn't want to do what I do.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be doing YouTube videos. He doesn't want to be doing he does want to do Twitch streaming, but he doesn't want to do makeup or modeling or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
want to do merchandising. He doesn't want to do investing. Like those are all things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But he's still like minded in the point that he knows what's important. He knows to build a future. He wants to build an empire just about different things.
Yeah, yeah.
So also
and that's
then
fine.
a supportive mentality. So I mean, like
Yeah.
obviously he works a 9 to 5, you work this hustle, but like you guys live absolutely different lives. Like maybe he'll do the same thing every single day, and maybe he'll just feel like, oh, okay, this is my life. But like to be able to match you on your level, he supports you on everything that you do.
Yep. And that's another big thing, especially if you're somebody in a career field that is not the norm, I would say, you know, corporate living.
Because I feel like
you
the
have
same
to
way.
have someone who's supportive and understanding, and that independent lives thing comes into play where like if I go into hustle mode and I'm, you know, kind of MIA for 2 weeks, my husband's fine. He's working. He's hanging with his friends. He fulfills his time, and he does what he wants to do. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, I need you here with me 24/7. Blah blah blah. Like he has an independent life. I have my independent life, and we are two independents who choose to have a life together. And I feel like that's what a relationship should be. It shouldn't be two people who are so obsessed with each other. Because like I'm obsessed with my husband, obviously, but like. I know he has his own personality.
The amount of love that
No, 'cause I
you
think
Right.
propose for
you
your
have to
husband.
have a life outside of your relationship.
Yeah, you can't just be with each other 100% all the time. I mean, like my husband and I tend to do that when I'm in hustle mode. He helps me a lot with things, so we work together a lot too. And that gets to be hard. Sometimes we have to take a break from each other and be like, okay, he's going to go out to the bar with his friends. I'm going to go do my thing. You have to get away from each other because too much... Oh, I'll sit forward. Too much togetherness can breed comfortability.
Yeah.
It can breed just
And you might get bored after a
placidness.
while too.
Yeah, boredom,
Okay.
placidity, things
It's
like
like
that.
you don't get a time to like miss each other, you know?
Yeah.
It's like because
Yeah.
you're always around and like you feel like it's always the same, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's always the same, then people are going to get bored. And then when you get comfortable, things tend not to change.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why, like, when we bring it back to having comprehensive conversations, if I have to have an in-depth conversation more than once a year, it's because something bad is going on. Whereas the one conversation a year that we have might just be touching base. It might just be like, hey, this is what's changed in my feelings since last time we talked. This is how I'm feeling now. What do we need to do to change it going forward? Things like that. Like it's more of tweaking and working on that. Like you can have other conversations about like how you're feeling more than once a year. I'm not saying just like lay it all out once a year. Like it's Christmas, bitch. Like,
Open these presents right now.
like
We're gonna argue all the
You
right.
remember this on this day?
Right.
This is what happened.
Not just having one, but like if you have to have that conversation, like if you're
I think like those like small conversations, those are like just tweaking. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like, you know, you
big conversations are like, I don't feel good right now.
Yeah,
like those are the conversations I don't like having.
So like you express yourself fully. Like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on in my life, and I need you to understand or need you to comprehend.
I feel like the conversations where you are getting out what you need from your partner are more negative conversations because you're putting out your negative energies, your negative feelings. You might be feeling like shit, undervalued, things like that. So you're going to lay a lot of depressive, upsetting things on your partner. And that's what I'm saying. Like if you have to have those really harsh conversations where you're just like, I feel like shit in this relationship, period. Like, frankly, I don't like how you treat me. Those conversations should not happen more than once a year.
I mean, you're right. Yeah.
And my husband and I haven't had one since before we got married.
Oh.
So over a year.
How many have you had before you were married?
A couple. Yeah.
I mean, well, being in
Couple,
a relationship,
like-
you're still learning. Obviously, when
Yeah.
the beginning stages, you want to
Yeah.
learn about each other and how you want to be loved and how they want to be loved.
Yeah.
So I guess
And my husband and I had a little bit of a rocky start. We didn't have the perfect relationship before we got married, and we still don't. But we worked on it, and we made our relationship stronger, and that's why we're married today.
Yeah, I think that's how people stay together. It's
Powerful.
because like they just keep working on it, you know. Because I mean, I think people break up because like they just give up, like, or they just
Yeah.
The apathy.
yeah.
Apathy is more powerful than hatred because if you don't care about someone, you're not going to do anything about it. If you hate somebody, you're going to do something to show that hatred.
Yeah, that's true.
People, trolls online, they go out and they don't like somebody, they're going to tell you right to your face. Stuff like that. Like, if I hate somebody, I'm going to talk shit about them. Like, not really, but like, that's the general consensus of what people do. They talk about them, they do things behind their back. Like, you're going to do something to get at that person that you hate or you really don't like. Apathy means I just don't give a fuck about you. You mean nothing to me, which I feel like is more powerful than hatred, because hatred, you still care.
That's true.
You still care so much about somebody that you're willing to like do negative things to them and like spend your energy thinking about them. Love is the opposite. You're thinking about somebody and doing as much as you can for them. Whereas apathy, you just don't give a fuck. You're just like, I don't care. I don't like you mean nothing. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, people should just
my
break
own
up
life.
when they get to that point.
Right,
Like, I don't
and
know
that's
why
what I'm
people
saying.
don't. Like, you know.
That's what I'm saying, is like people stay in relationships
Too long.
and they're apathetic. And then apathy is just, you know, people who are their roommates at that point.
Yeah.
So then you just gotta find the correct, I guess, balance between. Well, no, I wouldn't say apathy. I would never want apathy in any of my relationships, to be honest. But you want to be able to like understand where that person's coming from. And it's like, oh, okay, and like, okay, you choose to be with me today and tomorrow and the next day. I choose to be with you today, tomorrow, the next and the next day. We're gonna work this together.
Yeah,
I feel it.
and I think it's the energy and like the amount of care that somebody gives in a relationship in general. Because if you're thoughtful, if you're considerate, if you love somebody, you're going to work at it. If you're apathetic or anything like that, you're not going to work for it. And
That's
if
true.
somebody, again, your partner should be a priority. It might not be your number one,
Yeah.
but it should
It's
be your
gotta
top.
be up there
It's
somewhere.
got to be like top
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
You
like-
know? Like, especially people who have kids. Kids, number 1.
Mhm.
Partner, number 2. Job or something, number 3. Like, things like that. Like, they have to be one of your top priorities, period.
I mean, you gotta think about them. You gotta consciously think about them and the decisions you make.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like, you
especially if
can't
you want to
just-
build something with that person, you know.
Yeah, and like I've been in a relationship where the guy was completely apathetic. Didn't think about me at all. So like if I planned something and was like, "Hey, we're going to go out XYZ on this weekend, you know, show up at this time." He was so apathetic that he would forget the plans that I made and just spontaneously get off work and be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to grab a beer. Let's go." With his buddies. And like he would just go out and I'd text and be like, "Where are you?" Like, "Hello."
Damn.
Like we just dated. Like it was just like a quick thing, but that was a big red flag. Like he doesn't care. Like the thoughtlessness of his actions show that I'm not a priority. It means that he's not thinking about me, and I'm not going to waste my energy. I'm not going to waste my love. So
Damn, powerful. I'm gonna say that. So you are a very you know what? Like, everything you're throwing out right now, very, very powerful. If y'all listening out there, keep the person you love in mind. Prioritize them. Come on.
prioritize them. Yeah, comprehend what they're saying.
Comprehend. Jeez, I'm speechless right now. I haven't been talking this whole time. I'm normally animated, and I'm like, oh, I got.
He's
I
like,
got
I'm
things to tell you."
absorbing everything.
It's funny because I've known her for like 2 years now, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ish.
But like we never really like talk.
Not in depth.
Yeah, not in depth, but like this
Pretty
kind of
superficial.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
work
these kinds of
stuff.
conversations that truly show up.
That's why I
Yeah.
really enjoy like the podcast because I feel like it's like
It opens people up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Therapy.
therapeutic.
And I mean, if you like you and I know each other, Jerick, through work. You're a photographer, I'm a model, so we work together, and most of our conversations revolve around work. But when you bring work out of it, what are you left with? No conversation. So that's when you bring
That is
things out
true.
of when two people mutually meet from one common interest.
Yeah.
You take that interest out. What are you left with? And that's where you either get a friendship or you don't. That's why you
Interesting.
have work friends and you have out of work friends, because your work
Yeah.
friends, all you do is talk shit at work about work. Like,
Oh,
and you would
terrible
never,
work
you might
is.
go out for a beer after work or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
but you're
yeah.
never going to see them outside of work, right? They're
Yeah,
your
that's
work
true, that's
friends.
true.
And then you have your outside friends who are people that you've built relationships with because at one point you clicked. That one common interest that brought you together evolved. And I feel like that's the same thing with relationships. You find someone with a common interest and you work on it.
You involve it and then put some.
And then you bang in. No?
I mean, that's evolution.
There you go. You
Shoot.
talk, you have a common interest, and then you bang. There you go.
There you go. That's
Relationship
dating right there.
101.
Well, I mean, banging is very important in a relationship. Come on, let's be honest. Like,
Sexual compatibility is also very important.
That was one of the topics that I wanted to. I mean, it's not on the love language, but like.
How many minutes do we have left?
We got about 10 minutes left for an hour.
We can touch on it. The sexual compatibility, yeah, I think that's another really strong suit in a relationship. That has to be like one of the top things.
So, here, this is just like, it's just a funny question, but like, would you, let's say you have like all the qualities that the guy, that you like from a guy, but he's like terrible in bed, like what would that be for you?
That's hard because like there are give and takes in relationships.
Yeah,
right?
that is true. But
so like
is that
if
the
you
one
find
that
the
you
perfect man and he's just not satisfying you, you might just need to tell him how to satisfy you. You might just have to have that conversation.
Communication.
Teach
And
your
you
man,
gotta
ladies.
comprehend.
Exactly.
Teach your mans how
I
to
think-
pleasure you.
I think that's the big problem too. People don't want to like talk about that stuff
Right.
too, and not
It's
just
important, you
like
know?
the relationship stuff. But
So
like,
until recently, I asked my husband, "How was that for you?" After we had sex, I was like, "Did you like it?"
you didn't ask him before. You just like,
It never came
Oh,
up
okay.
because like we have a great sex life. My husband and I
okay.
have a great sex life, and so it was never had to be asked. He was just like, "I loved it. Like it was great," and he was just like,
10
yeah.
out of 10 would do again.
Right. And then so one day he was just like, "Yeah, cool," and like we like got up and cleaned up or whatever,
Yeah.
and he was a little quiet, and I was like, "How was that?
Yeah.
How are you? Like, was that good? Like, do you feel fulfilled? Like, because yeah, you might orgasm, but you don't feel fulfilled. There's
Yeah.
a difference. There's
Yeah.
a huge difference.
There's
guess.
regular sex and then there's emotional sex where
Right.
you express yourself
Right.
yeah,
and,
And you can
give
have
it all.
you can have both in a relationship.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's a quick bang on the counter when you guys are getting ready to leave
exactly.
for a
You just gotta
party.
put that quickie in there,
And then there's the late night when you guys had a deep conversation and you want to show each other you love each other. There's different sexual situations.
That is true.
But
That is true.
he was taken aback when I asked that question because he's like, "Well, yeah, of course. Like, I loved it. It was great." And I was like, "Oh, you were just a little quiet." Like, he's not always like, "Fuck yeah, I got laid." Like, he's not always like gung ho about it, but he at least like.
Well, you
know,
just noticed it was like different reaction.
yeah, like it wasn't just as there. When you can tell somebody's a little tense.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like that, and I was like, "You're like, what's going on? Are you okay? Was it good?" And he was like, "No, it was great." I'm like, "You seem a little weird." He's like, "Oh, I'm thinking about something else." He's like,
Yeah,
"The sex
yeah.
was great. I was in it with the sex, but as soon as the sex was over, I started thinking
'Cause at
about
least,
that
like,
thing again."
Real life comes back right after you have
but
sex.
Snap back
he
to
had never
reality.
had that
Exactly.
question posed to him by a woman. I mean, never by a man, obviously, because he's never been with a man. But he had never been presented that question by a partner. Nobody had ever asked him. He's almost 30 years old, and none of his sexual partners have ever been like, "How was that for you? Do you feel good? Like, was it good for you?" And I feel like that question or that conversation it's not had much in relationships. You always hear about like spice up the bedroom, but a lot of people are scared to like express their sexual preferences
because, like,
because
I
they don't want to
think-
be weird.
Because and I think not just that too. It's like people have ego.
Oh yeah,
Because like I think people want to come in there and just like, "Oh, I'm good."
yeah.
So it's like, especially, I mean, it's just both men and women. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of just like, "Oh, we're both good." So
Yeah.
like, we just kind of assume that
Right.
the sex is good.
Right. And like my husband and I, when we first got together, explosive sex,
Yeah.
great. Like we have a
I mean,
great
you
sex
know,
life. We're sexually compatible, like very sexually compatible. And so it was great. The newlywed phase was great, everything. But then that fizzles out, and then
Yeah,
you're just having sex, and having sex is meaningless. You either have like fun sex, you have spontaneous sex, you have love sex. Like there are different kinds of sex that you have in a relationship. It's not
is
all
true.
just
That is true.
It's not all just making love like romance novels
Yeah.
put it out to be.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of sexual situations that you and your partner are in throughout your relationship, and it kind of just fizzled out. So we were just every night. I would roll over in bed, like we'd get into bed, we'd lay down, and then I'd look over and be like, "Are we having sex?" And then he'd be like, "Yeah," and then we'd bang, and then we'd roll over and go to sleep. Like there was nothing to it. It was more so like when somebody like chews on their fingers when they're bored, or picks their lip or something, like, or picks the hole in their jeans. It was more of like something to fill the time.
Yeah. Like,
Because we weren't tired, so
Yeah.
we're just gonna have sex and then go to bed. So we weren't having meaningful sexual situations. And I had to have that conversation that I was like, hey, I haven't orgasmed in like a month. Like, what are we gonna do about this? Like, I haven't orgasms from sex. Let me get this clear, because like your girl is experienced, but like,
okay.
like that, and also sexual compatibility. Are you okay with masturbation? Are you okay with porn? Like things like that have to be said. Those have to have conversations, because there are relationships where dudes or women will have this like one likes porn, one doesn't, and that's completely hidden from each other.
Yeah.
I know couples who've been together for like 50 years who the wife never knew the dude watched porn, like, and was like really into porn. Cause like that just wasn't on her radar, and she didn't care. And she thought porn was the devil. She was like, I hate porn. It ruins relationships. And this couple was like 75 years old. I was talking with them pre-marriage. We talked with like elders and people around us that were like long-term
trying to feel out
relationship.
like
like marriage counseling 101 sort of thing.
That's cool.
Talk to people whose relationships have worked to see how they work, sort of thing. Worked. Exactly. Worked, quote unquote. And yeah, she was like, oh, porn is the devil, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I've been watching porn since the day we met. And like out of nowhere. And she was just like, what? And yeah, and it was just like, but they're like so old that she's like, we don't even fuck anymore. Like, it's fine. Like, it was fine. But think about that now, people in their 30s.
Yeah.
You're married to somebody, or you're with somebody for, let's say, over 5 years. And then one day you catch them watching porn, and porn has been something you've been against. How are you going to feel? How are you going to overcome that in your relationship, right? Because now you have to have the conversation of interests.
Yeah.
And are you willing to look past that? Is one of you willing to change?
Yeah, because I think like sometimes too, like, I mean, some girls get jealous of porn, and like some girls are okay with it, because like I feel like they're probably just like, oh, this is just like a guy thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I watch porn. It's not just a guy thing, but like
okay.
women watch porn, guys. Hello, women watch porn. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some women do. Yeah,
There's an entire category on
think,
Pornhub
like,
that's female friendly, which I think is dumb, because that's such a stereotype.
Because I think it's like guys watch porn more than women, but I don't know. I mean, some women
I would
do.
say on average,
On
yes,
average,
probably.
yeah.
But it's not just exclusively a penis thing. Like women like porn. And you know, that those conversations I think should be had early in the relationship. If you guys have been together for 6 months, you need to talk about your sexual compatibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, period.
Yeah.
Because again, if one person's against porn, one person's for porn. If one person's needs to have sex every day and the other person can go months without sex, one person's going to feel unfulfilled in that relationship, or one's going to feel hurt in the relationship, and that's not compatible. That's not going to strengthen a relationship.
Yeah, and sometimes it changes too, because like
Yeah,
sometimes
you go through
there could be
periods.
time like they want to do it as often, and then sometimes like maybe if they're like stressed out, like they don't want to do it as much.
Oh yeah, like my husband and I can go a week or two without having sex, and that's no big deal, and like no harm, no foul. Like nobody's even thinking about it. And then there are times where we have sex 2 times a day, every day for 4 weeks. Like you
it's
fuck
like,
like rabbits.
Yeah,
like
because I think it's just like depends to the time in your life too. Like if you're stressed out, like you don't. I feel
if
like
you're stressed, if you're unhealthy, if
Yeah.
like you got a lot of stuff going on, if you're overwhelmed in life, like those things do have a play in sexual compatibility. And there are ups and downs. People say spice up the bedroom. That's a real thing. Like you should really keep it active and
sex is
conscientious.
so fun, dude.
Like put forth into the bedroom what you put into your relationship, because that's part of your relationship. So if you're just having meaningless sex with your partner, that's not going to build. That's a key point of a relationship is, I mean, for a lot of people, I would say, is sexual exclusivity. There's a lot of my pan or poly friends out there or whatever, but as a general topic, traditional relationships are monogamous, right? Yeah. And so if you're going to have sex with one person for the rest of your life, you need to be able to have good sex with that person.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean,
communicate what you want.
Yeah, if you find if you're a person that
Teach
doesn't
them.
want sex except for like once a year on your birthday, find somebody who's the same way. That way you never have to worry about it. And
once a year for your birthday.
So how do you go
There
about
are
that
dudes
conversation?
like
It's like, yo, I only like
fuck
having
on the
sex.
first date. Done.
Oh.
No.
So would you talk about that on the first day? Holy shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like,
No.
the person is just like, oh, I just want sex once a year. I'm like, okay, then like, see you later.
Right, exactly. That'd be a hard
I
pass
guess that
for you.
that'd be a good
Like,
good
sit down at
first
dinner.
date
Okay, listen
conversation.
here. We're gonna fuck, but only once.
I mean, like,
Once
you
on
can-
my birthday.
Yeah, you can pick
My
like,
birthday.
Yeah.
You don't get to pick the day. It's my birthday. No.
That's all I want.
You just sit down at dinner. You
Damn.
plop down. What up, bitch? Fucking.
Shit, if that's gonna be the one time, you better spice that fucking
Right.
that whole night. Ooh.
All right. Fuck 10 times in a row. There you go. A good year covered.
That sounds very sad, but I mean, I guess whatever
Hey, I've
works
done
for
it.
people.
Not gonna lie.
Oh man.
I mean,
what?
yeah, I mean, I had long when I was single for 3 years. So I didn't really,
My husband's
obviously.
the first birthday I was with my husband. We had sex 10 times that day. Yeah,
10 times.
10 times.
Okay, we're gonna end the podcast.
So I said sexual compatibility is important. I need sex.
Yeah.
I need somebody
We-
who's good at sex.
we need you
that's what I looked
back
for.
another episode,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're gonna talk
Something
about
else.
sex next time because
Oh.
I did mention it on the text, but like, I know if I like wanted to go do that.
Well,
for
we
the
didn't
first,
know you felt as powerful about sex as you do.
I mean,
so.
I work in the sex
I
industry.
mean, I knew
That's my
I
job.
knew you were,
Ooh.
but like I wasn't sure, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe we'll just mellow down.
If
the
you guys
first
didn't know,
episode.
hi, I'm Graysin Aurora, and I'm a sex worker as well as a model and everything. Hi, everybody. Yeah, no, that's part of my job. That's like
Yeah.
a big part of my life is sexuality.
She's a very good model too. I've seen her naked.
Yeah. A lot of people have. My nudes are on the internet. You're welcome.
Patreon. Do you wanna? Do
I mean, if you want to Google that shit, fine. But
You wanna
like,
do some
yeah,
shameless-
support
shameless
me.
plugs.
Shameless plug.
right
Shameless
now.
There you
plug?
go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So again, my name's Graysin Aurora. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch TV, YouTube, Patreon, OnlyFans, and my free cams, all under Graysin Aurora. Except
Yo.
Patreon, it's Graysin.
But she's married, so
Yeah,
But
she's
I am married.
though,
You can see
so
me nude, but you can't
You
touch.
can, yeah,
Like-
you can watch. You can window shop.
That's a good term. You can window shop. But I mean, shopping.
but you ain't gonna buy.
Yeah, shopping implies that you would buy it. I
That
mean,
is true.
you can buy nudes,
That is
but
true.
you can't buy me. I'm sorry. I've been offered $500,000 to fuck somebody. Like, no lie.
No way.
No lie.
No, like real money, or
Like,
they're just like saying that
cash,
shit out of their
cash money.
Holy.
Yeah, if I didn't have like
Damn.
strong moral value and like love for my husband, if I was single, I'd be $500,000 richer. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's the end of the podcast.
If y'all
Well-
want to see the rest of this, tune in.
Well, that'll be like this will be the ending of our next podcast.
Yeah.
It'll be like pick up from here essentially.
Yeah. The
We
next-
went through relationships and now we're gonna talk about sex.
Yeah, well,
It's
we'll
important,
have her
you know?
back for sure. We're gonna talk
I mean,
about
we're all
sex.
animals at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, we got all these urges, and you just want to.
Oh, is that how you have sex? Bruh! Just break
You're just
through
gonna
her
bro out,
pussy.
dude. You're gonna bro out.
Is this like your
you let
Hulk
the animal
move?
out, you know? Just roar your life. Do what you need to do.
Did you say ruin your life?
No, roar like a lion, you know? My spirit animal's a lion.
Ruin your life. Have sex.
Yeah.
That's like the Mean Girls thing where it's like you get pregnant one. You always get pregnant from sex. You have sex one time and you get pregnant and die. Ruin your life. All right.
Well, this was fun.
But if y'all are interested in the next time that we talk to Gracie, she'll be back. Don't you worry.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, let's do maybe we should do a Q&A next time.
Oh, yeah. If y'all got questions,
Yeah, I'm down.
this one was
Yeah.
a really interesting podcast. I mean, we
kind of touched on a lot
we
of things.
did
Yeah.
not go too far, into this part, but I feel like this is where everybody's like, "Oh, snap. Like, what? I've never
Yeah.
I got questions."
What,
Yeah.
sex?
Yeah, like,
Oh.
everybody got questions about sex. Let's
I
be
know.
honest.
Oh yeah.
So if you got
Definitely.
questions about sex, hey,
And I think
Sex, sexuality.
it's easier to talk about
relationships.
sex when there's a girl around. Because like, if it just be a Christian, it would be kind of awkward.
I don't know. I've been one of the guys for a long time in my friend group, and they talk about sex even when I'm not there. Like,
yeah,
they-
but that's a different sex talk. That's like more like a bro sex talk. Like, dude, I just banged this chick for
True, very
But
true.
like, I feel like you would give us good insights on
into the
Because I feel
female
like-
mind.
Into the
yeah, you know a
female
little bit
and her
more
lady
about
bits
sex. Yeah,
Yeah.
her lady bits, how to get her. Yeah.
over that hill. Yeah, I get you. We'll talk about that on the
Alright.
next one.
I'm kind
Ooh.
of excited for that.
That'll
But
be fun.
yeah, we'll just end the podcast here. And peace.
Later.